up, everybody? We are back with another You Know What It Is podcast segment with Intentional Living. Here with myself, Randy, and with Kelley. We're actually going to be making some new little chimes and stuff for us, for our sounds, for our little characters here on this segment. Right now, Kelley is setting the space for us, get us grounded. So thank you, Kelley.
Oh, you're welcome.
What scent is this incense? What is this? What do we got here?
That's a good question, actually. I'm really not sure. It just smells good.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a sandalwood?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, sandalwood's a good guess.
Okay, yeah. So it's sandalwood today. But while she is setting the space for us, I did want to just take a moment for ourselves and then also for the audience to take a moment to set some intentions. Just to get grounded. We really want to open this space up to receive, find what resonates. And so right now, let's just take a couple moments of silence, set your intentions, let yourself know that you're grounded, you're present, you're here, you're aware of your thoughts, and any intentions that you have maybe throughout the rest of the day.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here with us. And yay! Per our previous episode, we're going to be implementing a beginning disclaimer and this new intentional ritual to set the space and be here with you with intention, while we discuss intentional living. And that way, we can... we're doing it together. Mm-hmm. And so, you're not alone. You can see kind of what we're doing, get ideas, and just vibe off of our energy with that.
We're here to vibe with y'all, okay?
Yeah. So the disclaimer, it's just letting you know that we're not here giving you any medical advice. We're not experts in these fields. And, we really don't know anything beyond our own perspective of our own experience, of our own research. And we're really humbled by that. Yes. We don't claim to know, and honestly, you don't know anything either until you do your own possible research and you find out what works for you and what resonates with you. And if anything here doesn't resonate, then just leave it.
Right.
Right. It doesn't need to be attacked. It doesn't need to be, nothing. Just leave it. And we really just are here to offer you guidance based off of, what I just said, and just to help provide some doors to help you remember, so that we can all remember the truth. And, at the end of the day, just keep it simple.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kelley, setting the space, giving our little disclaimer. And today, actually, Kelley has also brought us our next segment, our next topic for today, and it's going to be growth mindset. So Kelley, give us a little bit of background about what growth mindset is, maybe dabble into a little bit of the science behind it or some resources that people can look up what the definition is, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, absolutely. So I discovered that growth mindset is actually a literal state of being. It's a literal chemical process within our brains that's happening. So it's not just a phrase that we like to hashtag. It's a literal state of being, and it's truly so powerful. And it's, if you listen to our last episode, it's literally exactly what we discussed there. And so we just wanted to bring you the science behind that episode to let you know there's, validity to it. And I think that a lot of times when people talk about spirituality, they leave out, when you receive the knowing of information, you have it. But the answers are out there to prove that that's also true in the physical flesh realm. And so this is kind of the intersection of that. And so we're going to link the podcast episode that I heard this information on.
Yes.
It was by, yes, it was by Ed Mylett, and he brought on a, I totally forgot his name.
Dr. Andrew Huberman or Huberman. I don't know which one it is, but hey, look, I got you, girl. Okay, it's called Elite Brain Training. All right.
Look at that. Just
got it. Hey.
Oh,
okay, we
yes.
got each other. We support.
Teamwork,
okay.
make the dream work. Hell yeah. So, and he's a neurologist. He literally just studies the brain. That might be the wrong term. But he literally
some with the brain, right?
Yeah. He's like, do you know how many brains I've looked at? So, anyways, so great episode. We'll put it in the show notes for you.
Yeah, it's very, very insightful. Last week when we were discussing the topic, Kelley had shared the link with me and Vari, and just taking a couple minutes just to have that playing in the background as I'm driving and really just absorbing the information. There's so much relatable information and so many things that you can use to just apply the information right away. They're not just giving you the science. They're giving you like, hey, no, this is what you can do to implement it, right? So providing you the answers, providing you with solutions to whatever it is that you're trying to do in rewiring your brain.
Yes. Thank you. So I just kind of listened to the episode and took some notes here for you guys. I'm going to kind of relay the information, but highly recommend listening to it. So he kind of starts off by, just, explaining the basis of, certain information and variables and everything. So, the brain ultimately is designed to learn. It's one, keep you alive, and then two, learn about rules and contingencies. And your nervous system learns things and it processes them. So basically, if A, then B is kind of one of the observations that goes on. But this form of processing, it's serial processing. And this is more of like a strained type of processing for your brain. And so imagine like, we're like, okay, so implement an intentional practice, and then you just get in your brain and you're like, okay, so I'm gonna wake up in the morning, and then I'm gonna have my tea, and it's gonna be, this chamomile tea, and then I'm gonna sit here, and you're just kind of like, boom, 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 and then after you've thought so hard about it for like maybe 30 seconds or maybe 30 minutes, or maybe you dissociate in that time, and it's like 3 hours later, like, what I'm saying.
Those moments, okay,
yes,
girl.
we've all been there, okay? And you're straining your brain when you're doing that. And the brain naturally, it wants to default actually to not that mode. It doesn't want to be strained. It wants to be in the reflexive mode. The reflexive mode, this is your habits. This is your rituals. These are the patterns that you have already implemented, and it's just going to default to that. Yeah. So if you're straining, you get so strained, you default to, just being on your phone for 3 hours, whatever that is. That's the path of least resistance. That's what the brain is going to go to. And so there's chemical systems that connect, there's chemical reactions. The chemical systems, they're all doing things. And one of the chemical systems is neural modulators. And neuromodulators, this is where your dopamine is. And dopamine is the key in growth mindset, okay?
Yes.
So
major keys here, all right? Major keys. Get that dopamine.
Get the keys,
all right?
get the dopamine.
I mean, the good kind. The good kind.
Yeah, the good kind. Yes. The natural kind.
Yeah, there you go.
So neuromodulators being the likelihood of experiences, essentially. And so when your dopamine is there, the dopamine is released when we are on a path, okay? So dopamine is experiencing something that we're really enjoying, and we feel like we're on the right path. So if you go back to episode, 1, even episode 2, we touch on, it's the emotion behind doing something, okay? So here's an example. Let's say that you're really enjoy riding your bike, and I'm going to give two different, mindset examples, okay? So you really enjoy riding your bike, but you're really stressed out about all these other things. You feel like you don't really have a lot of time to ride your bike, but you're like, whatever, I'm going to squeeze it in. It's going to be a workout. I'm going to have a 30-minute workout, and then I'm going to be done, okay? And then I'm going to do these things, and then boom, boom, boom. And you're just kind of like, so you go, you ride your bike, and then you're like, okay, I've accomplished that. And you're just like not even present while you're riding the bike because you're thinking about all these other things.
It's something that you're just checking off your list of things. You're not really actively present. You're just doing it as a way to get something else done.
Exactly. And so you're riding the bike, and it's not providing much for you, to be honest, when that's the mindset. If you shift the mindset, even if it is just 30 minutes or whatever it is providing for you, if you shift that mindset to be present in the moment and enjoying it, kind of like my tea example, you're sitting there with your tea, you're enjoying it, that is releasing dopamine.
Yes.
Okay. Both of these are patterns that you're creating in your brain. You're telling your brain what to do. And so when dopamine is released, the brain says, more of that. I need more of that. And so it's essentially a healthy addiction is kind of what I took from it. He didn't use that term in the podcast, but that's kind of what I gathered from it. And so it's really about sending you to the reward. And it's not about getting the reward.
Yeah.
It's about being there, sending, like so the verb, the action versus the noun. And so the dopamine is really the pursuit of growth, right. is really what it is. And it kind of made me think about the Constitution and everything with the pursuit of happiness. So got something right. Like,
and the first thing I think of is just the kind of cliche, I guess, quote is it's not about it's about the journey, right? It's not necessarily about, say, getting to that top of that mountain. It's the process of getting there. And particularly when you are rewarding yourself through the process, you will have more energy to continue rather than, say, not rewarding yourself, just kind of lugging through, pushing through. Then you get to the top of that mountain and you're thinking, why don't I feel anything? Why is there nothing there?
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact that you didn't give yourself your flowers, all right?
Yeah.
You weren't sitting there saying hey, you know what? Here's this milestone that I hit. Let me reward myself with something. What do I enjoy doing? And it can be something as simple as that cup of tea, or going for a bike ride, going for a walk. Maybe you visit your family members. Maybe you go eat, because we all know I love to eat. So it's just whatever it is that can reinforce this behavior, right? To give you energy to keep going, to release that dopamine and make that connection. That's what's really going to make the process worthwhile.
Exactly. I love that you said that, because it literally leads perfectly into the next point.
Yes.
Look at this. This is where spirit and science, they truly do align.
Yep.
And I think that that's left out of the conversations too often. And some people, for part of the reprogramming, they really just need the science part of it. Or they need to understand the why of what's really going on. So dopamine causes neuroplasticity, and dopamine, so it's rewarding us and it's giving us the neural energy, and the neural energy is the effort molecule. So there's two of them that they are different, but in this sense, they connect together. So adrenaline is released in the body, epinephrine is released in the brain, and that's the effort molecule. And so this creates a sense of urgency in your body, in your engine, and everything. And so what happens when you're activating the dopamine and you have this sense of urgency and everything, however, you're not doing it with the intention, and you're not doing it with the enjoyment for that the path for the movement that is happening
Right.
within the activity, it can actually be when there's too much adrenaline, there's too much epinephrine, it can actually cause us to, there's like a off button that happens, like it'll just automatically go
Is it
off.
similar to like a burnout in a sense?
Kind of like a burnout. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So it can kind of cause us to just give up and be in despair. And then also, what it can do if, let's say, we achieve the goal that we were going towards, but again, we still aren't activating the enjoyment aspect of the journey of achievement and just focusing on the reward, the external reward at the end. It's like external reward versus like intrinsic value. Yeah. And so you focus on the external reward. When you get that, you're actually, I don't know if you all have experienced this, but I certainly have, where you achieve it and then you actually just feel like really depressed. Like,
I actually have a perfect example, and if you hear me talk about gymnastics a lot, it's because I did the sport for 20 years. Okay, I'll bring in a lot of gymnastics references. I started when I was 2. Went through to college. I went to LSU and competed there on scholarship. So it was my life. All right, working out. Yeah. It was my full-time job. As soon as I was done with school, I went to practice. And I didn't really have a normal childhood. I didn't really go to dances. I think I went to like 2 dances. Just even, after school parties or events and stuff, I wasn't really acclimated in that. So gymnastics was that work for me. And it was a very competitive sport, a very demanding sport on your mental, your physical, your spiritual, everything. And in part of that, I'll give you an example when I won nationals, when I won the Junior Olympic National Championships, my senior year of high school, 2012. When I look back, and even on that day, there was so much confusion in my heart and in my spirit because I wanted to feel something, right? Because this is the moment that, like, so many girls dream of, right? I won nationals. I'm the best in the nation this year. And I was struggling to find an ounce of emotion. Damn. I cried at one point, and it was really because someone else was crying because they were so happy for me. And I was trying so hard to dig up the emotions that all of these people were having for me and congratulating me and this and that. And it's because part of the mentality that I had developed and that was provided to me was, hey, don't get hung up on this competition. There's always the next one. We got to focus on, the end. We got to focus on nationals and regionals and state. This is just another step in the ladder. So don't get too caught up in the glory of this moment because that could get you off your A game and then you perform poorly. And while there is truth in that, right? If you stay in this euphoric, like, oh my God, like, hey, I'm hot shit. Like, I don't got to worry about anything. It can provide a distraction. But because I had such a killer mindset of just, nope, on to the next, nope, on to the next, nope, can't focus on that, I didn't give myself the opportunity to enjoy the milestones that I hit. And that eats away at me even till this day. I'm able to cope with it. I'm able to, fill myself with, some thoughts and some coaching that I didn't provide myself then. But it's a little bit personal for me, this conversation, because I wish I would have taken more time to be like, you know what, Randii, like, you did that. Girl, no, like, you accomplished that. You see what you overcame, even through the mistakes and whatnot. But gymnastics, it pushes you so much to just strive for this perfection. And, we're working 30 hours a week. It's intense. And so I think it just falls in line perfectly to, if you're not giving yourself those, little hits of dopamine, like, hey, celebrate. Hey, enjoy. Hey, you made it. Another step on this process, you could really end up feeling nothing or feeling regret or shame or guilt or, some random emotions might just overwhelm you and you're sitting there wondering why, so really take the time. I would encourage you to take the time to, again, give you your flowers. I'm going to keep saying that. Give yourself your flowers. That. Okay.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, of course. Hey, look, we working through it, all right? It's a process. It's a process. But yeah, this one hits home for me.
I think that's a crown moment right there.
Ooh.
That's a crown moment. So y'all, we brought this crown.
Let them know. Let them know.
I'll let you. Do you want me to put? Okay.
Oh wait, let's get it lit. Yup. You got it over the curls.
I can't see the left side at all.
Look, we gon' look. It's there.
It.
Okay, hold on.
She's been crowned.
All right, so we're implementing this this action, this crowning in our podcast segment, just to signify, like, hey, if I feel like she over here doing some preaching, she's saying something that's really deep, intense, it's hitting home for her, or even for, like myself, we're gonna crown each other. All right, we're gonna give each other that little dopamine hit, just like we're talking about. Okay, so thank you. All right, because this is gonna help me in the little healing process. So.
Well, yeah, it was such a vulnerable story, and obviously, like, your whole freaking life, and I'm sure that many people can relate, not in this sense, specifically, but in their own way to that story, because a lot of us played sports, a lot of us, grew up with parents with expectations, or maybe we just placed them on ourselves, and, I always... This really hit home for me too, because I would achieve a goal and it's not enough. It's not enough. You're not good enough.
I'm not good enough. You're not there yet.
I'm not there yet. I want to be there, and I'm here, and whatever, but and I actually started implementing this in my own way. This, like, within this year, I guess, and it's really significantly made such an improvement, because you don't default to, like, sadness or, like, depression or, like, being, like, serious and grumpy, you can, be kind of a little bit more light with things, and you can kind of not take things so seriously, and it also allows you, at least in my experience, to really just kind of meet people where they're at. Yeah. I've noticed. Like, I really just kind of stopped taking things personally in implementing this process. These are just the side effects,
Well, is there any specific example that you can give to us, Kelley, when you have experienced, not giving yourself those rewards? And then another example of you actively participating in doing that. Any just personal example. I know we kind of talked like a little bit broadly, but is there anything like specific that comes to mind when you think about that?
Yes, and it's really I talk about it so broad because I feel like it literally just relates to everything, because that would be my programming, and I feel like it where you have like that crash, it's kind of just like a consistent non-enjoyment of the journey. And so I mean, I guess specifically, we can talk about the launch of my brand, Kesh.
Yes, let's talk about that. All right.
So I launched it in July, and I actually launched it a month late because I was dragging my feet about it. And it was almost like I didn't even want to launch it in a way, with these weird feelings that I was having. But
relatable.
Right?
Relatable.
Like, and it's like, what, who the freak cares if it's not, like Kim Kardashian, whatever, like, that's not even what I want, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just kind of like I would be getting roped into these like vortex thoughts of societally constructed expectations that weren't even in alignment with who I am, what I want for my life, or for my purpose of starting this this brand, this company, and what I'm trying to do with it and everything. And so I launched it, and I was just like your story, I was trying so hard to be excited about it.
Yeah.
But I think I felt like more sad than anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, like even when people would buy my products, like I would just be like, okay, so before I even sold anything, right? I'm like dragging my feet because I'm literally thinking nobody is interested in this.
Nobody's gonna purchase. Nobody's
gonna purchase it. This is stupid. You know, just like self-doubt, bad talk. You know, all of that stuff and everything. And you know, I was talking with my therapist about it, and so we're kind of like going through it and you know, like each one of the worries and just kind of like debunking them because they don't even make logical sense.
Girl.
Like
you sit there like, dang, like you don't gotta put me on blast like that. Like I might be worried about nothing, but like dang. Reality check real quick.
It really was. And so I just, yeah, so I mean, I had this beautiful soundboard. A lot of times I think people really deal with this stuff alone and aren't really sharing, and you know, they're trying to show up for what they think is expected of how they're supposed to act and everything. And so through the launch, you know, it helped obviously as people did buy my stuff and loved it and, you know, said super kind things and, you know, or would buy like a fuck ton. I would be like, are you sure? Like, you know, like I was just throwing me. I was like, what is happening? Like, oh yeah. So, it was, sorry, I thought I cut out for a second. I was like,
wait, hold on.
Mic check. Round 30. So as I noticed, okay, that's what I'm doing, and fuck that, because I'm doing this.
Right.
And, like, if I kind of, you know, thought about, like, in the future of, you know, future Kelley, you know, has found, you know, success in things that Kelley enjoys, and, you know, maybe this is there, maybe it's not, but at the end of the day, this is a milestone that does need to be celebrated.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even have the balls to launch something that they're passionate about,
Right.
or even post on social media. You know what I'm saying? And so I would just be kind of noticing those little things, and then just kind self-talk, and kind of like what we talked about last episode, kind of fake it till you make it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, bringing in that wonder, that curiosity that we've talked about. Because activating that inner child, right, that creative energy that it holds, it allows you to relieve yourself from so much weight, pressure, expectations, you know, because life is really, you know, a learning experience. And when you remove that and live up to society's expectations of perfection, you taint that curiosity and that passion and that love for life because you're so worried about living up to this expectation that it's going to constantly you're going to be on this rat wheel, right? You're not going to really obtain much because there's always going to be something more that you can do. Always. And particularly with, say, launching a brand, or even me starting this, you know, podcast segment with Kelley. All of the professionals in the world, all of the business people in the world, they started somewhere and they were beginners at some point.
Yep.
Right? Like they were newbies at some point.
Little fears.
And it's okay to be a beginner. It's okay to go through that trial and error and figuring things out and not really knowing until you maybe make a mistake or somebody comes and provides you, you know, some feedback or analysis. And just accepting all of that and just knowing like, hey, this is just information that's going to help me get me to where I'm going. But a lot of us get caught up in, well, everything has to be perfect. I have to have my email marketing like on point. I have to be posting X amount of times on social media. This is the things that I need to say. And, you know, I think that with some of the information that is presented to us on social media, it puts us in this mindset that we need to have everything lined up in order to launch. And sometimes it's like, bro, sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to go and then learn as you go.
And every day's, cliche as it sounds, every day's a new day, okay?
Hey, but it is.
It is. And you can relaunch. Like, businesses relaunch their business all the time.
They change their logos. They change a slogan.
Like, change is inevitable. That's the only thing you can depend on is change. Like, just knowing it will change.
Right.
So I just, I was like, whatever, ripping the Band-Aid off, doing it. This is how I feel right now. This kind of sucks. So, okay, I'm going to, I don't want to feel this way. So what do I need to do to be different? I kind of been working on that and everything. Right. And so in this, podcast that we've been referencing about growth mindset, so he talks about how the neural energy, which is the dopamine, dopamine allows for higher levels of epinephrine. So the capacity for your body to hold that, so that little off switch, if you're activating that dopamine with the effort path of enjoyment and intention activated, then that will expand your capacity for that, so it's not so easily shut off. And when we're enjoying friction during the process, like, sorry, I'm low-key reading my notes, low-key, like...
Look, hey, if people want the science, all right, we gonna have to take some notes, all right? We gonna give y'all the facts, so it's okay.
And so I love it because he actually said it is a skill to learn to be intentionally thinking, I'm on the right path. Like, you guys have to listen to this podcast.
No, it's really good. It's really good. Very insightful information, and like she says, really bridges that gap between spirit and science. And, affirmations, but then paired with what actually is going on chemically within our bodies and our brains.
Exactly. And so, again, that verb of performing is key. And when you're feeling like giving up, try to do the one more. Like, just do the one more. Because that will reaffirm the effort process versus the external reward of what you get when you give up. So affirm the effort process with doing one more.
Okay, you got me, I got inspired just now, okay? I caught it, grabbed it, it resonated. So an example I can give of this one more practice that really was effective in my gymnastics career. We would be doing conditioning, say, all right? Especially when your body's sore, you get ready for competition, you already got to do your routines and everything. It's like, oh God, like, do I really want to do conditioning? But hey, it's something that we had to do to keep our bodies fit and keep us in shape. But if I felt physically just so drained that I didn't think I could do, like, say, a whole 20 sets of something, I would tell myself, okay, Randii, you don't feel like you can do 20. Let's shoot for 15. And let's at least do 15, and then you do your 5 separately, right? I would get to that 15, and I would, just try to breathe and try to clear my mind and just, really encourage myself and not think about the fatigue, right? I'd get to that 15, and I'd be like, okay, girl, you could do a couple more. And then some days I might get to 17, surprise myself. Sometimes I might stop short of like 13 and then take a little pause and do my last 2. And other times I would end up pushing through and getting to that 20 just because of the fact that I kind of set the bar a little bit lower, but then coached myself through that. No, you can do a couple more. You can do one more. You got this. And I started doing that with everything, whether it was gymnastics wise or even in, my personal life outside of that. And it's a really effective tool. I can tell you that right now. But part of a big chunk of my success in gymnastics was because of that mindset. And a big chunk of my success even now and the things that I'm doing, the barriers that I'm breaking, it comes from that, just one more. You got this.
Yeah, I love that. And, somebody might be thinking okay, so she's implementing it there, why was she still depressed and sad when, you know, she won the national championships. And that's a great example of how doing this practice, you can't just focus on doing it with one thing.
Yep.
You need to do it with everything because the process and the flow is life. Okay.
Yes.
And so life is the path. And so with everything. And I think a lot of us are working a job we might not really like.
Hey, I think a lot of people can attest to that.
We're not really happy.
Hey, shout out to everybody who likes their job, though. Okay,
yeah, for real.
I'm loving that for you.
Yes,
all right, keep that energy and spread the love. All right.
Yes. For real though, that's truly amazing. But if you're not loving it, if it's not bringing you that joy, with this method, you can bring the joy to the job. And you can reframe your mindset to, you know, maybe it's just a cog in the wheel for your plans, you know, that you're working on the side. When you get home, you work on that side business or whatever you're passionate about there, and let yourself dream or whatever, and know that that job, that business is, you know, it's fueling that next step.
Yes.
And so activate your enjoyment with it, because it's motivating you for the next thing, and use the I don't want to be there motivation aspect, not to activate the off switch, but instead you're enjoying the effort process of like, I'm going to look back on this and I'm going to remember it, and I'm going to be thankful, you know, that I was disciplined to achieve these goals, that I had enough self-accountability, self-discipline to go ahead and get this done. And this kind of leads in to the next point of all of this, actually, where your so a lot of us deal with stress and anxiety, and he mentions that in this because anxiety and stress are actually designed to help us. They're actually designed to help us, provide us information. Our
It's like an alarm system.
Exactly.
Almost.
The animalistic instinct goes off, and we either, you know, run and hide, or it moves us forward.
Yep, into action.
Exactly. And so, you know, we have the three options: be stationary, back up, retreat, or move forward. And so when you know, get the anxiety, a lot of us kind of have been defaulting to just something I've been noticing in people, of defaulting to of like, oh, I get anxiety about that, so I'm going to avoid it and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the programming then that you're putting into your brain. However, it's through the anxiety and through the fear and the journey of like, wow, I felt all worked up about that, but then I pushed past it and it wasn't so bad, and I'm rewarded for it and I feel good.
Yes.
So that's not allowing your emotions and your ego to drive. That's you driving and chasing spirit and following the momentum with that. So,
and with that, I think there's a little bit of yep, it just went. It flew away.
I know, we're both like, I'm
It
like,
flew
I
away.
got the notes, and then I got the
No,
little
it
bit
flew
of
away.
my ADHD is kicking in. I'm like,
Like, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, touching on the anxiety, right? There's a difference between getting anxiety from, like, say, a firm boundary or something, right? That you know is just like, hey, no, like, this is not in a space, you know, I need to be, or a conversation needs to be had, whatever it is. This is, you know, maybe you stepping out on your faith and, you know, maybe going to therapy, starting that business, you know, pushing through to see through the job that you're in that you might not like because, hey, it's putting food on the table. I can invest in my own personal business, which is the end goal. This is what she's speaking about, right? In those situations where it's like, I know it's uncomfortable. However, it's through that discomfort. It's you walking through that fear, whatever it is that's in front of you, to get to that other side of, you know, that fulfillment and that, oh, you know what? I can do this. I want to do it again. And when you're faced with that, say, anxiety, again, you're sitting there like, you know what? I recognize this. This is the kind of anxiety where I just got to push a little bit more. I got to step out on my faith. I got to walk through it. And I know that I'll be fine. I did it before. I can do it again.
I love that. Yeah, and if you're feeling resistance right now while you're hearing this information, I invite you really to just sit with that resistance, notice it, notice the patterns inside your body, inside your mind that are going on. And if you can notice them and you know, if you want to stay there, okay. The next step, if you're ready for that, would be to get curious about it. Be like, okay, what is this resistance? What are these thoughts? Why am I having them? And just kind of like noticing the sensations. And so what the curiosity does is it lowers those defenses, and instead of, you know, making you closed off to receive, it opens you up to receive. And notice within yourself if you can feel a change.
And so we're kind of diving here into our reflections. We're going to end each episode with either some kind of reflection or action that you can take with the information that we have provided in our segments. So exactly what, you know, Kelley is saying here, you know, like just taking that moment to reflect on maybe how this episode made you feel, and the different things that you know, need to do, whether it's you step out on your faith, or, hey, maybe you do need to step into that retreat mode. Maybe you do need to sit with yourself a little bit longer before you know, step into that, into action. But it's all just, it's that journey, right? It's a process, and it's enjoying it, figuring out ways to find joy and happiness in it without getting so hard fast on like, this is what it has to look like. Because then you close yourself off to receive proper guidance, or, you know, the right amount of help, or the abundance that may be right in front of you.
Yes.
Is there any other reflections or any action that you would encourage the viewers to take?
Yeah, so I just want to sum it up. So the key is learn to attach some of your internal thinking and your self-reward to dopamine, which is the intrinsic processes internally that are going on. And it will teach your brain that it wants to do that, whatever that is. And throughout all of this, I just invite you to remind yourself to not judge yourself for where you're at, for where you're not at, and really just be with yourself exactly as you are.
Yes. Acceptance. Like, it's okay. It's okay if you're here, someone else is there, someone else is over there. Everybody's kind of on their own journey. We're connected through it, but, you know, it's okay to be you and where you're at. It's okay to not have everything figured out. It's okay to be in an uncomfortable space and not, you know, be where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelley. Another amazing episode with growth mindset. So thank you, Kelley, for bringing this to our attention and bringing us the Carfax. All right. You know, it just provides us an opportunity to, like we said, you know, merging that spirit and science, because they are connected. There's a link. One doesn't necessarily overrule the other. They literally coexist, and they flow together. So that's one of the intentions that we, you know, want to provide here is, hey, this is spirit, this is experience, this is what you can't see, but then this is actually what's going on in the brain, in the body. These are the chemicals that are actually being released within our vessel.
Right.
So just want to wrap this up and say thank you guys for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. If there's anything that you would, you know, like to tell us that, you know, we did well on, if you have any words of encouragement or any segment topics that you would like to put in there, hey, go ahead and do that. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We're
and
super
share
grateful.
this with some friends that you think this might resonate with, or it might guide them or help them in any way. reach out and just let them know what's up.
Because it
Where to find
might not
us.
resonate with you right now, but if you hear it and maybe someone's in mind, go ahead and do that. All right, be that vessel for that person. Be the messenger. All right, and
Yes.
pass the information along.
Yes.
So thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys next week, Monday. All right.
Yeah.